Call the meeting to order. If you'll all please rise, by Supervisor Watson, and the Pledge of Allegiance by Supervisor Sockwell.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed upon the people of Mohave County and the United States of America. Please continue to bless us and keep us from harm's way. As we meet today, we pray that you will provide truth, wisdom, and understanding to this political body. Guide each of us through the decisions before us today. Let's recognize each person's contribution to Mohave County, and in your name we pray. Amen.
Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need a motion for an executive session to be held May 7th, 2012 at 9 a.m.
So moved.
Second the motion.
Motion is second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Committee or legislative reports. Supervisor Sockwell.
I have nothing this morning.
Supervisor Watson.
Nothing pending today.
I attended a Quad State meeting, and just I'll go over quickly. I'll send information out to all board members. There are 23 Arizona species for listing under the Fish and Wildlife Settlement Agreements. Going to be adding to the ones that are already listed, so that's going to cause us more problems with building and those sorts of issues coming up. County Manager?
Nothing this morning, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Watson?
Yes, I do have one item, Chairman Johnson. I'll be briefing everyone as best I can on the proposed watershed monument as designated by a number of groups, and as that information becomes available, I'll make sure that it's in our hands.
Thank you. We have 3 proclamations this morning. The first one is the National County Government Month, April 2012. It's Healthy Counties and Healthy Families. Whereas the nation's 3,068 counties provide a variety of essential public services to communities serving more than 300 million Americans. And whereas Mohave County and all counties take seriously the responsibility to protect and enhance the health, welfare, and safety of its residents in sensible and cost-effective ways. And whereas county governments are essential to America's healthcare system and are unique in their responsibility to both finance and deliver health services through public hospitals and clinics, local health departments, long-term care facilities, mental health services, and substance abuse treatment and coverage programs for the uninsured. And whereas the National Association of Counties President Lenny Eliason is encouraging counties to promote healthy living and lifestyle choices in communities across the country through his 2011-2012 Healthy Counties Presidential Initiative. And whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties across the country to actively promote their own programs and services to the public they serve. Whereas Mohave County is exemplary in all its county programs which promote the general well-being of its residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Supervisors of Mohave County, the second day of April 2012, does hereby proclaim April 2012 as National County Government Month and encourage all county officials, employees, schools, and residents to participate in county government celebration activities. This coincides with the proclamation signed by the governor of our state. We also have a National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Mohave County Court Superior Court Infant Toddler Mental Health Team speaks up for abused and neglected children in court proceedings. This organization brings attention to child abuse awareness and prevention during the month of April, whereas the Mohave County Superior Court Infant Toddler Mental Health Court Team have established a distinguished record of public service through their work to enhance the quality of life for children, and whereas more than 200 children in Mohave County are currently in out-of-home care due to abuse or neglect, and whereas we all have a responsibility as individuals, neighbors, community members, and citizens of Mohave County to help create healthy, safe, nurturing experiences for children. And whereas April is named National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and whereas no person can do everything, but everyone can do something, and together we can create change for the better. whereas this effort will give abused, neglected children throughout Mohave County a chance for a safe and positive future by bringing awareness to their needs. Now therefore, the Board of Supervisors, the presiding Superior Court judge and the Superior Court presiding juvenile judge on the second day of April 2012 do hereby proclaim the month of April as Go Blue for Child Abuse Awareness Month, and in doing so urges all residents to join in a national effort to raise awareness and help prevent child abuse and neglect. We also have Mohave County Fair Housing Proclamation, whereas the Civil Rights Act of 1968, commonly known as the Federal Fair Housing Act, and the Fair Housing Amendments Act of 1988 prohibit discrimination in the sale, renting, leasing, financing of housing or land to be used for the construction of housing or in the provision of brokerage services on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin. And whereas the 1986 and 88 Fair Housing Acts declare that it is a national policy to ensure equal opportunities in housing, whereas the principle of fair housing is not only embodied in national laws and policies, but is also the fundamental human concept and entitlement for all Americans. And whereas Mohave County adheres to the principle of fair housing and promotes civil rights of the people of the Mohave County to be free from discrimination, where it is contrary to the policy of Mohave County and unlawful to discriminate against any person because of sex, race, color, creed, national origin, or ancestry in housing. And whereas April has traditionally been designed as Fair Housing Month in the United States, be it resolved, Mohave County Board of Supervisors do hereby proclaim April as Fair Housing Month in Mohave County and do hereby urge all citizens of the community to comply with the letter and spirit of the Fair Housing Law. We now have the presentation of the Board of the 2011 Service Awards to employees achieving 15, 20, 25, and 30 years of continuous service to Mohave County during calendar year 2011. The board would like to go out in front.
Good morning. Thank you for being with us today to have the Board of Supervisors recognize those employees that have served Mohave County for 15, 20, 25, or 30 years of continuous service. There are many employees also that have served the county for 5 or 10 years of service. Those employees will be given their awards at the department heads' staff meetings. As we call up your names, please step forward to receive your awards. And then if you can walk over here so the Board of Supervisors can congratulate you. And after that, if the awardees can gather at the to my right over here for group photographs after the presentations.
April Rush. Brenda Dion.
Excuse me, Marcia, I think Jay Glick is in the audience.
Yeah.
I didn't have it down, but I can. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Looking to bring the meeting back to order. We'll go to the next item, which is the consent, items 5 through 60. They will be considered as one unless an item is pulled by a board member. Supervisor Watson, do you have any you'd like to?
None. None today.
None? Supervisor Sakwa?
None.
Why? I'd like to remove 7A and B, 10, 22, 34, 52. So I'd like a motion to approve the consent minus 7A and B, 10, 22, 34, 52.
Motion to approve.
Second the motion?
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 7A is the one I pulled. I would make a motion for discussion.
Second the motion?
Question I have is obviously of Public Works. I don't know if anybody signed up for that.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead, and I'm sure they'll get there to answer it by the
Okay.
time you get,
7A is resolution amendment to P&Z Resolution 86-171, recreational vehicle plan for DJ Recreation Vehicle Park. Does this have to go back, does this amendment go back to the original P&Z resolution that was done in 86 or sometime?
Good morning, Chairman Johnson, Supervisor Watson, Supervisor Sockwell. Chris Ballard may be in a better position to answer the question, especially considering the history of this particular project.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the answer to that question is yes.
I guess my question then is, why in 20 years didn't we make DJ's RV park abide by the requirements that we had put in place?
Well, this is, DJ's was a park that was established, or is a park that was established in the late 1980s. And our inspection techniques for following up with RV parks that are established, that, you know, kind of the final inspection before they begin operation, has improved greatly over the years. For some reason, in 1987 or 88, when this park would have been inspected, it either A, was not inspected, or B, the wall was missed.
I guess then what's our reasoning now to say, well, after all these years and you ignored what we gave you the first approval, why are we letting them off with believing they're, you know, I guess why we're not making them do the required fencing that we had before?
The fencing itself, if it were to be put on the property boundary, would end up in the middle of a wash. There are two reasons that we would not want the wall in the middle of the wash. First of all, it would interfere with the flow of the wash and cause flood control issues. The second is the fact that the RVs are quite a bit higher than the property boundary would be, and the wall would not screen the RVs themselves.
So this is not going to cause problems with other parks that we have, that we make these requirements and they have to put fencing up, and we're letting these guys slide and not putting a fence up?
Mr. Johnson, members of the board, for this to be a precedent that we follow in the future, those future RV parks would have to be in the same situations that DJ's is in. They would need to have some sort of extreme physical barrier along their property boundary. The second is that they would also have to have a situation where the wall would not be as effective as is intended by the ordinance for screening purposes.
Is there a secondary wash? I thought all of DJ's was in a wash. Isn't it kind of in a hole that goes down there?
Yeah, Mr. Johnson, members of the board, I'm not sure if all of DJ's is in a wash. The main structure that I am aware of, DJ's is not sitting in that structure, but the wall would be.
Those are the only questions I had. Anybody else have any questions? I have no problem. I'd make a motion to approve 7A.
Second.
Motion?
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. 7B, I'd make a motion approving that also.
Second motion?
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 10 is adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution 2012-046, zoning use permit on assessor's parcel 317-55-003. Commission recommended approval by unanimous vote. And I do have a motion on this item.
Motion for discussion.
Second motion?
We have a motion and a second. I have two people. Ms. Kathy Taggett Hicks for the applicant.
Good morning, Honorable Chairman, Supervisors. My name is Kathy Tackett Hicks, acting as the owner's agent in this issue. This item was unanimously approved at the P&Z. Since that time, 2 letters did come in to the county concerned about some safety issues. I wanted the board to know that we did in fact contact the FAA directly. There are no safety issues identified for this. There is a Triangle Air Park across the street, but that is unrestricted airspace, and so there are no issues. And just for your edification, the resolution does require that if any FAA regulations do come in, we would have to comply. So I think we've taken care of all the issues. If you have any questions, I'm happy to respond.
Anyone have any questions, Ms. Hicks?
I have no question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jack Earhart? Thank you. And we have nobody else signed up. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like a motion to approve item 10.
Second motion.
Have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 22. I pulled this off. I would make a motion for discussion.
Second.
The question I have of this, of Public Works or whoever's going to be handling this, is this contract was signed a few years previous, and when signing that contract, it said that there will be, I have to pull it up now, but that was kind of a full payment on this. How are we getting this additional $35,838?
Good morning, Supervisor Johnson. The initial contract was $349,000, and since it was issued, the contractor went to work and discovered numerous issues that had to be addressed. At the same time, FEMA was going through and was approving the new model that they were using, the Flow 2D model, and that resulted in some additional reviews, additional questions that the consultant will have to answer. And in the process, they identified additional structures that were built in the floodplain that also had to be modeled, and I think 14 other structures. And this additional work resulted in the additional charges.
Whose responsibility is that, the person who bid on it, that missed 14 additional structures, or is that our fault for not pointing those out?
Well, I would say it wasn't anybody's fault. It was when we asked for the proposal, they established the scope of work, and they worked on the available county GIS maps, and that's what we worked on. And then due to the last FEMA study in that area was done back in 1982, and since then there were a lot of channelization, a lot of improvements and new structures. This is the area north of Lake Havasu that I've seen a lot of improvements. And the study would work without modeling in detail those additional structures. However, going through the FEMA process would have a better chance of removing additional properties from the floodplain if we modeled it, probably a more accurate level.
So you're saying our GIS didn't show these structures?
The GIS maps, and I don't know the dates exactly what we have, they go back a few years, and they don't show all the latest developments.
Right. And this has already been done?
The study is being done. The additional work that we're asking the change order for hasn't been done yet, not completed yet.
Okay, because that's what I was curious about. What I'd seen in the contract says without the county's prior written approval of the proposed work and the fee thereon, the county will not consider payment of the sums other than those already set forth under this contract. So if they haven't done it yet, I guess then it can be brought forward to the board. That's the only question I had. Thank you. I have no questions. They missed the structures, and they need to be done to, the bringing these up to date on the flood control is very important to our county. So I would make a motion for approval of this item.
Second motion.
A motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 34. Make a motion for discussion approval lease agreement 12-SF-15 for Community Service Department located at 720 Hancock Road, Bullhead City.
Second.
The reason I brought this up is another last-ditch effort on my part. This is and I guess we're still going, if I may ask Ms. Duranzo, our Deputy County Manager, we're still going ahead with the recommendation on the board form for this lease.
Supervisor Johnson and Supervisor Sockwell, Supervisor Gary Watson, good morning. We agendized a new lease for our office down in Bullhead City. We did that primarily because, one, our lease was terminating on June 30. We had a county audit of our existing building, and obviously there's two possibilities, which is the senior center or the existing county facility. However, both may not be available at the time that we are terminating on June 30. We had some issues on our existing building, primarily the data and the configuration of that building. So we went ahead and proceeded and negotiated a lease with a new landlord along Hancock. Just for your information, as of Friday, our current landlord came back with a counter offer, which I presented the information to you. Based on the information he provided, all things taken equal, he actually matched the rate, the square footage rate. He gave us an additional space to match a little bit the kind of square footage that we have in the proposed facility that we were looking at. He proposed to take care of our data and internet interference problems that we had in the past. As of Friday, staff went and did a walkthrough again on both areas, and based on the ability, or based on the needs and assessment that we have in terms of getting our one-stop area expanded, a training room, and so on, I think the existing facility that's being offered may not be able to match that with the proposed building that we have. Based on the suitability of that area, we propose that the new building along Hancock be considered at this time.
So what would be the recommendation from yourself? Which one would you like us to?
Okay, based on the recommendation of staff and based on a walkthrough that we did, and considering all things being equal and all the things that are being offered or counter-offered by our current landlord, I think based on suitability, the proposed property on Hancock, of which at least in front of you, is recommended by our staff at this time, based on the suitability and based on the functionality of the building of what we need as a department.
All right. Any questions, Mr. Ansel? Questions?
I have no questions on it.
The reason I was bringing this off is this is going to be if I'm correct, this is at $30,294 annually is what the lease is, or is that what the?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it will be $35,305 for 2 years.
Okay. I just want to point out again that we have another item here a little later on where we're giving the city of Bullhead a building that could be used by this department for $1 a year. So that's why I pulled it off. Give you one more chance to come over to the good side. Any other discussion from the board?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve item 34.
Second the motion.
I have motion and second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 52. So when I pulled off the agenda, I would make a motion for discussion.
Motion for discussion.
Second.
I already stated my reason for pulling this off, so I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the extension of the intergovernmental agreement, City of Bullhead for the Nutrition Center, between the City of Bullhead City and Mohave County. A term of 1 year from July 1, 2012 through June 30, 2013. With the same provisions, conditions as requested by Bullhead City.
Second?
I'll do a second on this. Also, I think it might be a good idea if we do encourage Bullhead City to start looking for a place of their own for this, to have a nutrition center.
All right, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Aye. Motion carries. Item number 61 is a public hearing. I will open the public hearing. Adopting Board of Supervisors Resolution 2012-32, zoning use permit. Commission approved by a vote of 5 to 3. I have one person signed up who is in favor of this. Have no one in opposition. Mr. Lawrence Gerard, do you want to address the board? There's no opposition.
If it's going to be approved, I don't need to say anything. If there's questions, I'm here to answer.
I do have some questions.
Oh, there is some questions, sir, so would you like to come down and identify yourself? Go ahead and identify yourself and the address.
Lawrence Gerard, I'm representing the Anandagiri Path of Self-Realization Church, 4505 East Russell Road, Las Vegas, Nevada,
Thank you,
89120.
Supervisor Watson.
Thank you for coming down this morning, Mr. Gerard. I was the person that tabled this item in the last meeting, and I wanted to get a number of questions that I had outstanding in my mind. I think to this point I've got them pretty well resolved, but with this location being so far removed from any type of services, my concern was the safety of the people that will be, I suppose, your parishioners and people of faith out in your area, and that was my main concern. Although I do notice that you've had some discussions with our county assessor, this has nothing to do with that issue. I'll make a motion today to permit the zoning use permit as long as all the taxes for the properties are paid in full.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 62 is a
Thank you.
public hearing. I will open the public hearing. Board of Supervisors Resolution 2012-050. It's a zoning use permit. I do have Ms. Kathy Taggett Hicks in favor, and Mr. Jack Earhart opposed.
Good morning, Honorable Chairman, Supervisors. My name is Kathy Tackett Hicks. I'm acting as the owner's agent in this issue. This again was unanimously approved at P&Z, but there were two items brought up that I wanted to address and assure you have been completed. One is a trash issue out there, and on this property there was some trash piles. Those have since been cleaned up, and I have photos of the clean site now. Currently, as of yesterday noon, there are two metal scrap piles out there right now that'll go to the scrap yard today or tomorrow, so that site is completely clean now. In addition, representatives of the tribe indicated that there would be a safety issue. We spoke directly with the FAA. Even for large international airports, the sphere of influence is less than 5 miles. This particular site is 7 or 8 miles away from that existing airstrip. These particular helicopter pads have been in use since 2002. They were brought to the attention of the county that the ZUP had expired by me when I was doing research for Mr. Turner, and he has been using them intermittently, and I would ask you please approve this. If you would like to see the pictures of the clean site, I have 3 copies available. Any questions?
Do you have any questions, Ms. Hicks?
No.
I have no questions. no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jack Earhart?
Good day, supervisors, staff, and community. I'm Jack Earhart, 4105 North Adams Street here in Kingman. I work for the Wallapai Tribe's Economic Development, Wallapai Enterprises, and speaking on behalf of that enterprise, it's the operational side of the government that runs Grand Canyon West and the airport. And there hasn't been any concerted effort to coordinate any kind of safety activities about this new site. And that's our primary concern. This is residential property, and contrary to what Kathy says, and it bothers me to have to say this, he isn't using them and hasn't used them. We drive by that particular area all the time. Even when this came before the P&Z, a representative from our group went out there, and there was no tracks, no activity whatsoever, no car tracks, no walking tracks. He hasn't used it. Our point is primarily that he has a site that's down the road about 5-6 miles, all kinds of pads, safety equipment. It's where he has his ranch, and that's a safe place to operate this. To go and open another site that's remote, residential, and not to coordinate with us with a large airport facility just isn't a good way to do business. I was really surprised when the Planning Commission passed this with trash all over it and no consideration about any of the safety issues. I actually recommend you send your Planning Commission a training, because helicopters is a big safety issue. It's not something that should just be blanket approved, and that's why the Tribal Corporation objects to this. Any questions?
Any questions, Mr. Earhart? Thank you, sir.
All right. Yes, I do.
Oh, one second.
Mr. Earhart.
Yo.
There are a number of helicopter companies out operating at your concern. Do each one of those file a flight plan each day?
You know, I'm the project manager that gets things built, but every operational, or a company that is operational out at Grand Canyon West Airport has flight plans all approved, and there's flight routes. And Hilly USA also has to follow a particular flight. And he used to have a relationship with the tribe, but he violated that and had to be asked to leave because of violations. So all our companies that do operate with the corporation do have flight plans. I don't know about, they don't change that much, so I don't think they're changed daily.
Thank you. Just one of the concerns I had. Thank you, Mr. Earhart.
Sure.
Are there any other questions? Nobody else like to speak? I will close the public hearing. We have a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the zoning use permit for the helicopter landing site 12 miles east of Perseferry Road, as recommended by the commission.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll open the public hearing. Item number 63, adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution 2012-051, rescind and cause the property to revert back. The commission recommended rescission by unanimous vote. I have no one signed up. Is there anyone here from the public who wishes to address this item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve item 63, rescinding the zoning.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 64, I will open the public hearing. Discussion, possible action, adoption Board of Supervisors Resolution 2012-52. It's a rezone. I have no one signed up. Is there anyone from the audience who wishes to address the board? Item number 64. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve item 64.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 65 is a public hearing, which I will open. Adoption of ordinance 2012-01, amendment to the Mohave County Land Division regulations. I have no one signed up. Is there anybody who wishes to address the board on item number 65? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to approve item 65.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 56. Discussion possible action, approve the transfer of $1,940 of Surbat Precinct Constable's budget to cover travel expenses for fiscal year 11-12 and increase the line item for travel in a fiscal 12-13 budget. And do I have a motion for discussion on this item?
Motion for discussion.
Second.
Ms. Bishop here. I do have another person who wants to address, if you want to wait till afterwards, Mr. Stephen Robinson. You don't want to address the board, okay? Ms. Bishop?
Good morning, gentlemen. Chairman Johnson, Supervisor Watson, Supervisor Sockwell. I am the elected constable of the Surbat Precinct. My statutory duties are prescribed in ARS 22-131, and my expenses are prescribed in ARS 22-132. I request your help because there are insufficient funds for me to perform my statutory duties for the remainder of fiscal year 2012. As an elected official, gentlemen, I am required by Mohave County to provide a personally owned vehicle in which to perform the duties of the constable. I am currently being reimbursed by Mohave County at 55 cents a mile, which comes out of my budget travel expenses. Currently, I have exceeded the fiscal year 2012 budget available, and all other expense lines have been exhausted, as was the case last year in fiscal year 2011. During the budget process, back in 2008, my travel expenses were cut below what was necessary to conduct the business of the constable in my precinct. My average travel expenses are approximately $6,000 a year, and the recommended budget for year 2009 was reduced to $3,500, where it remains today. Through the budget process in the past years, I've requested an appropriate increase and have been told by the finance director that my only option is to move funds from other line items within my budget, which I have done. Like the sheriff's office, the constable's office is service-related and governed by Arizona state law, which outlines how much in fees and mileage can be collected. There are other duties that constables perform daily that do not generate revenue, but do increase the mileage driven at any given period. My area, the Surbat Precinct, is the largest in square miles of any other precinct. In fact, I travel several miles from the court just to get into my precinct. In approximate comparison, my precinct is 4,100 square miles. The Kingman Precinct is about half of that, 2,600 square miles. Bullhead City is only 800 square miles, and Lake Havasu City is about 900 square miles. Gentlemen, as you can see, I have the largest geographical precinct in Mohave County. You can also see by the graph that I provided to you that I also bring in the largest amount of revenue. As a result, I drive the most miles, and I need a larger travel budget. During this budget process, I have again asked for funds to conduct the business of the constable in my precinct. So I pray that you approve this transfer of funds, and I remain hopeful that the finance director will approve the proposed increase for fiscal year 2013, as I've requested, to enable me to perform my statutory duties without coming in front of the board year after year asking for more money, because I just can't make it with the budget that I've been provided. I'll stand for questions, and I thank you very much for your time.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do.
Supervisor Watson?
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. Ms. Bishop, what was your budget in 2008?
My budget in 2008 for my travel expenses or the entire budget?
Travel expenses?
I believe it was $3,500.
You just made comment to $6,000. What year was that?
That would have been the prior year.
What year would that be?
That would have been 2007.
So in 2007, your travel was $6,000? Is that
You know,
correct?
I don't have the exact figures with me. I thought I did, but I don't, but it was approximately $6,000.
Okay. Then in 2008, 10, 11, and this year's budget, you've been reduced to 3,500?
Yes.
Is that correct? Are there any additional duties that you're performing now that you weren't performing prior to '07?
The only additional duties that I'm performing is we've started the warrants program, but the mileage has not increased that much due to the program because we enforce the warrant investigations as we're out doing other constable duties. So that really hasn't seen an increase in mileage based
Okay,
on
so
that.
that's not an increase.
No.
That's the only questions that I have.
Anybody have any questions?
No, I just,
I have a couple looking at the, I noticed that the collections are going down. The constables, obviously, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but, excuse me, when somebody does a filing, I believe isn't it the standard fee of like $16 for the, plus $20 to the constable? For a
It's
regular
a-
filing to serve something? And
It's
that's,
a $24 fee, and then we charge $2.40 for every mile traveled from the court to the destination where that document is served. But that's only charged one way, so the return trip is not charged to the client.
so we should be making dollar per dollar, though, I mean, after your expenses.
Not necessarily, because of the duties that we perform for no charge. Like we serve orders of protection by state statute, we can't charge for that. Injunctions prohibiting harassment, we can't charge in advance, but we can bill. These people sometimes pay, sometimes they don't. Subpoenas we serve for the county attorney's office and for the public defender are charged at zero to the county. Sometimes the justice of the peace will waive fees because people are indigent, and if they can show the court that they are indigent, then those fees will be waived. So we're doing those services for free, but we're still charging the county for that mileage. So it doesn't work out dollar for dollar.
I don't know if that should be something that the county should look at as far as deducting from other departments, as much as they do. You know, everybody has a phone in their office, and you pay the county $45 a month so that we can see exactly what the costs are and to break down the revenues that are created by the constable's office. Did the county manager, do you have something to add to this?
Mr. Chairman, the only comment I had is I think it would be extremely premature. We go into our budget hearings beginning next month, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have budget requests. So to approve an individual budget request right now before we have the opportunity to look at all the budgets would be somewhat premature. You will have the opportunity to do that when you approve the final budget. We got a lot of budget work to do, and we're looking at, Mr. Timko conservatively said around $4 million is going to be what we would estimate we're going to have to make up next year. So if you choose to augment the budget at this point, that's one thing, but I would ask that let's get the budget process done before we start making an individual change in somebody's budget. That would be my request.
Right, I think there would be with two items that need to be looked at, and I have to agree with that we'll have to look at the next year's budget through the budgeting process if something's done this time. Are there any other questions of Ms. Bishop?
Oh, I just have a comment to make that I share your concern over these dollars, and same concern that I have in my district, being the largest district in the miles traveled. I certainly appreciate that. So we'll be taking those thoughts with us when we're putting the budget together.
Okay, and one last comment, gentlemen. With the warrants program, we have brought in, or my office has brought in $4,000 that goes into the budget of the court. It doesn't show on my budget. So we're helping Mohave County. It doesn't necessarily reflect in our personal finances. So thank you very much for your time.
And on those, while that money goes into the courts, it doesn't really come back to Mohave County because most of it goes to the state. And that's the problem I have with that system, because I got an update from the court saying that statewide there's over $1 billion in warrants sitting out there. I mean, go a long ways to balancing our budget if the courts would actually, collect what the fines they give. But I guess that's all we have. Thank you, Ms. Bishop.
My concern is that with the continued monies that they're bringing in on the new warrant program, that they're doing an extremely good job in trying to attempt to do that, but they're not being treated fairly, I think, in response. So I think we should certainly take that into consideration when we're looking at our budget.
Thank you. Okay, we have further. What is the pleasure of the board? What?
Ms. Robinson did request to speak on a
I called your name and you didn't step forward.
I'm sorry. I wanted her to speak first so I could listen to her presentation.
Go ahead and come into the board.
Good morning, Supervisor, Chairman Johnson, Supervisors Watson and Sockwell. My name is Stephen Robinson, 3439 North Bowie Road in Golden Valley. And after looking at her presentation, I think her statement did correctly point out that it was in 2008 that they had 6,000, then they reduced it in 2009 to 3,500. And clearly the rationale behind the drop in revenue from 2009 to 2012 projected is due to the economy and not due to her performance as a constable. That would be my other comment. Thirdly, I appreciate that she is following the law by coming here, because under the modified lump sum budget process, the only area where you cannot move money from is from wages and benefits, which is why she's here asking for it. My concern is why the law is not being followed in other areas where it requires movement of money, the approval of the board to move money from one fund to the other. And I've seen dozens of instances in the budget where money has been moved from one fund to another without the permission of the board. I'm just wondering why that is happening.
Mr. Chairman, that's not an appropriate item for discussion at this point.
Need to stick to the item on the agenda, Mr. Robinson.
I'm sorry, Supervisor Johnson, you're right. If the county followed the example of the other 14 counties in the state and had a call to the public like they do, including Pima County, which has 2 calls to the public.
You're done, Mr. Robinson. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion, item number 66. No motion? Motion dies. Item number 67, discussion possible action, Board of Supervisors Resolution 2012-055, petitioning the Governor of Arizona to establish a constitutional permanent Division 7 of the Superior Court in and for Mohave County effective January 1st, 2013. I understand this item is going to be addressed by Presiding Judge Gertler.
Mr. Chairman, we need a motion on the floor.
Motion for discussion.
So moved.
Mr. Gertler.
Good morning. May it please the Chairman, honorable board members, administration, and council. I think that our submission aptly demonstrates the statutory and constitutional basis for the 7th Division of the court. And we are somewhat in a unique position because in the past, when the courts have asked for a new division, the board has had to grapple with the actual population of the county to meet the constitutional and statutory provisions. In this particular instance, with our census, it clearly establishes that we're entitled to a 7th Division of the court. In addition, unlike past submissions, we were able to obtain a grant to complete a study of the workload of the court, and the grant was primarily to help the court establish case assignments, something that the court has grappled with the past decade. However, the National State Court Center study clearly indicated that we have been operating with 8 judicial officers when we needed 11 back in 2007, 2008. We've been operating when we had 8 judicial officers when we need more than 10. And clearly, there was a demonstration of need here. And in the past, when we have requested a division of the court, we've not lost another division. And by that I mean we were shell-shocked when administration had commented that, fine, you can get your 7th division of the court, however, then you might lose one of your pro tem or commissioner's positions. As an example, when Judge Weiss in the 6th division of the court was appointed, he was actually funded on a grant. We also had our family law court commissioner, and we did not lose the family law court commissioner at that time, and the county took on the responsibility of that division when it was created. And by saying responsibility, that meant that it took 1/2 of the judge's salary. The state obviously pays for the other half of the judge's salary. So we were quite shell-shocked when administration said, fine, you might get your 7th division, but you'll lose one of your pro tems. One such pro tem division is already funded by fill the gap monies. In other words, that is not funded by the county. The only division that is funded by the county is the family law division. And to lose the family law division would simply just create dire straits for us. In particular, and I think that Deputy County Manager Hlavac can attest that he has seen a tremendous increase in the cost of the mandated services for providing attorneys in dependency cases. Our family law court commissioner handles domestic relations cases such that we can provide services to many families before they get to that point of being in a dependency, whether it's parent education classes, whether it's anger management, whether it is with respect to domestic violence, whether it's drug testing. You know, we have been able to take many cases that otherwise would or should be dependency cases and keep them within the realm of the domestic relations court. The court likewise has been a very good partner with administration in the past. We have been able to obtain funding for divisions. In particular, again, Judge Weiss's division was on a grant. We have a grant for Judge Jansen when he was the pro tem. We have a grant with respect to Judge Carlisle's position. And so when it came to our attention that, you know, you might make this switch or this flop, we decided that we would look into additional funding sources. And as a result of that, we would request that the board here continue this matter for 2 months so that we can help try and secure some additional funding for the family law division. In particular, our research has indicated that, as an example, Yavapai County is receiving funding from DES for the Title IV-D cases. The Title IV-D cases are cases where the state is paying a single parent because the other parent is not paying child support. And what DES has found is that by turning around and paying a portion of a judge's salary and staff's salary, the state actually gets money back. They actually get the father or mother that is not paying child support to actually be paying child support, as well as reimbursing the state for any expenses that the state has paid out to the single parent. DES will pay 66% of the actual time that a judge spends on the Title IV-D cases. When we learned of this information, Judge Roth has immediately started to compile data and information to submit to DES, and our court administrator, Kip Anderson, can address this probably in greater detail, but he has had contact with DES, and we are setting meetings so that we can hopefully obtain funds from DES to partially fund the family law division. As an example, in Yavapai County, I believe it is $171,000 that Yavapai County is receiving. However, their family law commissioner, 75% of that commissioner's work is 4D, whereas we estimate it's between 40 to 50% of what the family law commissioner does. In addition, Yavapai County receives money for its judicial assistant. We would fall in line with receiving monies for our judicial assistant for the Family Law Commissioner's position. The difference is Yavapai County also receives money for a bailiff, and as you're aware, we do not have bailiffs here in Mohave County, which helps cut down the court's budget. In addition, we are truly looking at realigning the case assignments for the Family Law Court to make it more of a true family division. In other words, we would be looking at adding juvenile delinquencies to the Family Law Division, dependency cases, orders of protection. And the reason for this is quite simple. If you look at available funding sources, there are some funding sources, for example, for drug court. So if we provide the Family Law Commissioner with a drug court assignment, we might be able to obtain funding from other sources. Another area where there's funding sources is in the realm of domestic violence cases. And orders of protection certainly would qualify with respect to those domestic violence issues. So even though the court has had a past history of obtaining funding for divisions, helping to cut the court budget and costs, we want to continue to be a good partner with administration. We want to continue to look for additional sources because, again, to simply get the 7th Division and lose the Family Law Division would be a net loss to the county, would be a net loss in the services that we provide to the citizens of Mohave County, and is a very significant issue. The reason that we requested, originally we were going to request 1 month, however, at Mr. Levac's suggestion, I think that this is a very good suggestion, we're requesting a 2-month continuance because our budget meeting with management is on the 30th of this month. So any issues that arise during the budget process, we would have additional time to address, provide information to the board, and hopefully then at the June meeting we can address this issue in greater detail. I think the final point that I need to make is that in pushing it to June does not create a significant issue either because we're requesting that the position would be effective as of January 1 of 2013. And we'll turn it over to the gentleman here unless the board has any particular questions.
I guess, can the clerk read back that motion for continuation that the judge just made? Oh, it wasn't a motion? Oh. I think we got the point, and we appreciate the extra time. I guess the one thing that it's always good to see your court administrator here because we always have these discussions and ask him to do things, and he never seems to bring anything back to the board, just like when you were talking about the survey that you did, and we asked that if we would have include the rest of the county in this, the sheriff, the attorneys and stuff, and it's my understanding that they weren't actually contacted or participated in that survey, so that's always interesting to have our stuff ignored up here, but I don't think there's any other questions that we have unless anybody from them.
I'm sorry, Chairman, I'm not sure which survey you're particularly referring to.
I got that with if the county's internet service was working, I could pull it up because I have it on the thing here, but.
Mr. Chairman Johnson, I'll make a motion to table the item for, give them 2 more months.
You have a second? I have a motion and a second, no further discussion.
Can we be specific about what board meeting? Is it 60 days and come in July or June, I understand, so.
June 4th.
June, all right, I just wanted to be sure.
Continuation for.
Mr. Chairman, was it the judicial workload assessment? Is that what you were speaking of?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Now we have a motion and a second, no further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 68 is approval of a special event liquor license, Golden Shore Civic Association. Took place on May 6th. I have no one signed up for this.
Motion to approve.
Second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, motion carries. Number 69 is the approval of reappointment of Paul McCormick to Mohave County Transportation Commission. I have no one signed up for this.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Why did you pull 31? No? No response?
Good morning. Pardon me?